Hi everyone! Today we're going to learn how to do a receipt in open boxes. So the first thing you need to do in order to do a receipt in open boxes is to find the shipment that you want to receive. Now, of course, you want to start from your warehouse that the shipment is incoming to. So in this case, my warehouse is Harper Warehouse, but as a reminder, in order to find your warehouse, you can click here and change your location to any of the other locations available in the system. Now, once you're in your warehouse, the first thing you want to do is see all of the incoming shipments that are available to receive. In order to do that, you want to go to your inbound menu. So I'm going to go to inbound, and then as you can see here, I have two options under stock movements: create inbound stock movement and list inbound stock movements. So I'm looking for a stock movement that already exists. I want to see the list of our inbound stock movements. Now this is giving me every single shipment incoming to Harper Warehouse, no matter the status. So you can see here that it shows my receipt status, the identifier of the shipment, the name of the shipment, origin and destination, the stock list, who requested it, and the date. So it gives me a lot of information that I can use to find the shipment that I'm looking for. So the first thing I'll do in order to filter to find the shipment that I'm looking for is I'm going to filter for receipt status shipped. Why? Well, a shipment that's pending can't be received because it hasn't been shipped yet. And a shipment that's received can't be received because it's already been received. And we're going to ignore partially received for this tutorial. We'll go into the more complicated receiving examples in the next tutorial. So just for a simple receipt, I'm going to look at shipped shipments. And this tells me everything that has shipped to my warehouse but has not yet been received. It's a pretty long list, but lucky for me, the one that I'm looking for is right here at the top of the list. So in order to view this shipment, edit this shipment, or receive this shipment, the first thing that I have to do is open the Shipment View page. I can do that in a few different ways. I can go here and click Show Stock Movement, or for me, the easier way is I can just click the name, and the name is a hyperlink that will bring me to the Stock Movement View page. Great, so now I have found my shipment. I'm on the Shipment View page, which tells me what the status of the shipment is. It shows me the packing list for the shipment I'm about to receive. It shows me any associated documents. It shows me receipts, which I don't have any yet, but I'm about to. So I'm certain that this is the shipment that I want. This is exactly what I'm looking for. I want to receive this shipment. So I am going to press the Receive button. Now this button brings me to the receiving workflow. And let me just say right off the bat that there are a lot of different things you can do in this workflow. We're not going to cover all of them today. For today, we're just going to cover a simple receipt. What that means is we're not going to do a partial receipt, we're going to do a full receipt. We're not going to deal with editing lot numbers or expiration dates, and we're not going to deal with the bin location function. So we're really just going to do sort of the most common and the most simple use case to show you how a basic receipt is done, and then we'll have some other videos that go over the more complicated use cases and how you would do those receipts. So the first thing to note is you can change your delivered on date. It automatically defaults to the date that you are doing the receipt. However, if you are doing back data entry for a receipt that happened a week ago, you can change this date to reflect actually when the items came into inventory. You can't change the delivered on date to be before the ship date. You will get an error. So if you get an error that you don't understand, that's probably why. So just make sure your delivered on date is after your ship date. So this page shows you everything in the stock movement, and it gives you an option to put in the quantity that you are going to receive now. So there are a lot of lines in this stock movement. One option is that I could go in and put every single individual number in each line, but that takes a really long time. So another way to approach this is to say, in most cases, when you get a shipment, you should be receiving what was shipped in the shipment, unless there's some kind of mistake. So in most cases, what you're receiving should match the quantity shipped or the quantity remaining to receive. So if you press this button, Autofill Quantities, this receiving column will automatically fill in with the quantity remaining to receive. Now, of course, you might not necessarily receive exactly the amount you expect to in every case. That's fine. You can always edit these quantities. So let's say you actually only received 1,000 of this item, and you actually received too many of this other item. You received 1,500 instead of 1,400. You can still edit the quantity after you have autofilled the quantities. Another thing to note is that you don't have to autofill the quantities for every single line. You can also do it by palette and box. So if I click here, that will automatically unfill this box. If I click again, it will automatically fill back in with the amount that it expects that I will receive. So if I have trouble with several of these lines, if several of these lines are not correct, so I don't necessarily want to autofill quantities for everything, I can instead check each box one by one to fill in the quantity. And that just saves a little bit of time actually manually entering the quantities. The next thing that you can do is leave a comment. So since I have received less than I expected, I might make a comment on this line to say why that happened. So let's say in this case, the additional 83 were damaged. So say 83 damaged. That tells anyone that goes back to look at this exactly what happened. Why did we receive the wrong thing? What kind of follow-up do we need to do with the vendor? Now here, you might put an explanation for why you received more. Of course, maybe you don't know exactly why the vendor gave you more than you expected, but you can at least put a little bit of context. So you can say, 2 extra boxes. So that way everyone knows you received 2 extra boxes, and that's why you're putting this number as different than the expected number. So once you've filled out exactly what you need to receive for every line, then the next step is to press next and go to the final page of the receiving workflow. Now this page is a page on which you can check your work. Really, the only purpose of this page is just to make sure that you have a chance to review what you've entered in the previous page, and you've been able to notice if there's anything off about what you've received. So you'll notice that this page has several different columns. So it has what you've said you're receiving, the receiving now column, and it has what's remaining. So what's remaining is the difference between what you received and what you were supposed to receive. So any number that's not 0 on this page is going to turn up red. And the reason it's red is not necessarily that it's incorrect. It's just a way for you to visually see, oh, I did something unexpected. And did I do that intentionally, or was it just a typo? So in this case, you'll see because we received 83 less than were shipped, I have the column is red, and it says 83. Here, we received actually more than were shipped. So once again, it's red, and we get a negative 100. So this is just a visual guide for you to help you notice if maybe you made any kind of data errors. In this case, I intended to enter a different number in both of these, so it's fine, so I'm just going to continue. The only thing that I still have to do is decide whether I want to cancel the remaining quantities for these lines. So what does that mean, cancel the remaining quantities? Well, this workflow is set up so that you can do a partial receipt of a shipment. Let's say that you have a shipment that was sent to you, and because it was too large, it ended up being sent in 2 distributions instead of 1. So you received 1 box, and then you were planning to receive the next box the next day. Open Boxes allows you to receive part of a shipment and then go back in and receive the rest. So in that case, if you receive 1,000 out of 1,083, Open Boxes doesn't know if that 83 is still coming. It's just in another box, it's on its way to you in another truck, or if that 83 is not coming. It was a mistake at the vendor, and we are not expecting to imminently receive another 83 cloxacillin vials. So in this case, we're not expecting to receive those 83, right? This was a mistake. We are not expecting to get vials until at some maybe point in the future when they replace them for us. So I don't want those 83 to remain pending for me to receive later. I want them to be canceled. In that case, I'm going to just press cancel remaining. Now I only need to do this for items where I've received less than what's remaining. If I've received more, then Open Boxes knows that there isn't anything left there. It's not going to say the negative quantity is remaining. So in this case, I only have 1 item where I received less than expected, so I only have to do that for just the 1 item. Now everything else looks good to me. It seems like all of the data I entered is correct. So I'm going to press Receive Shipment. And it's when you press this button that the items are entered into inventory. Great. Now this brings me back to the Shipment View page where I can see what I received. So first of all, I can see that my shipment status has changed, right? This shipment now is status received, which means it has been fully received. I can also see my packing list. For each line on my packing list, I can see the amount shipped, the amount received, and the amount canceled. If there was not an exact match between the amount shipped and the amount received, then it's red. And once again, that's just a flag that something happened there that was unexpected. Probably we're going to need to follow up and figure out with the vendor why we didn't receive what we expected to receive. I'm also able to see the receipts that I have made against this shipment. So in this case, you can see that I've made 1 receipt, and you can see all of the different lines in the receipt and what I received and what I canceled. So I personally think the packing list is a much nicer and easier way to look at this, but you do also have the ability to look directly at the receiving information. And then you can see all of the documents associated with the shipment that are available to print out. So the one that is really useful for a receiving workflow is the goods receipt note. The goods receipt note is an electronic version of a paper form that many warehouses use, where you write down everything that was received, and then you date and sign the form, and you keep it on file as a documentation of what was received in the warehouse. Instead of doing that, Open Boxes will do it for you. So this generates a goods received note that shows all of the lines in the shipment, what was shipped, what you received. It gives the date, and it gives an opportunity for the person who delivered it and the person who received it to sign and date. So if you are an organization that requires that the warehouse keeps a signed good receipt note on file, instead of having to handwrite that, you can now actually print that out. It saves the warehouse employees an enormous amount of time handwriting. So that was a simple receipt in open boxes. Stay tuned for videos on partial receipts and also a video on how to edit lot numbers, expiration dates, and product codes upon receipt. Thanks so much.